like to welcome to this segment of This Week in Richmond two very special senators, both of whom served in the House of Delegates before serving in the Senate. Senator Toddy Puller and Senator Emmett Hanger. Thank you each for being on and for having a conversation with our viewers about issues from the session that's ended, the regular session, or what's happening right now, or what you're going to be working on for the next session. Toddy, why don't we start with you and mention something, and then we'll go back and forth some here.
About the session that just ended? Well, I think one of the things that really made me most pleased was that I had a young constituent in my district who was killed by a police officer. I believe it was in '08. And I've been carrying a bill for a couple of years to try to make police officers have their siren on if they're going to run through a red light or a otherwise controlled intersection. And it took quite a bit of effort in over several years, but I got it through the Crime Commission last year, and this year it passed almost unanimously in both the Senate and the House of Delegates. And I just hope it will prevent other deaths that don't need to happen from those type of circumstances. And I did it for the mother and father of the young woman that was killed, and they are both very pleased by that. And we're calling it Ashley's Law.
I'm sure they are.
I hope it will prevent other deaths.
Thank you. Emmett, what about...
Well, the session was a busy session. The focus was on the budget with the adjustments. Of course, it was supposed to be a short session, and it was a short session in that it was 47 days rather than 60 days. But there was a lot packed into that, and just as Toddy was talking about her bill, some people think we should only focus on the budget during the short year session. But the truth of the matter is, Virginia is a big state with lots of issues, and we have to resolve those issues for our constituents. So there were, as typical, a couple thousand bills, and I did my share. I had more legislation than I typically have, and actually this year, for some reason, I had a higher success rate than I normally have. I don't know what that means, but at any rate, I'm pleased that while we've been here during this last couple of weeks, we've been able to bring closure to that session with the reconvened session. The governor was very active with amendments to our bills and to the budget. In fact, if he continues that, we're going to have to make it a 2-day reconvened session rather than a 1-day, because it took us quite a while to address those issues. But I was pleased with the adjustments, and I think we all should be pleased, and we're fortunate that the economy, at least at this point, has turned somewhat. That the revenues from the beginning of Governor McDonnell's administration have been gradually increasing as we see a national trend in that direction. In employment, in news, for the most part, still, in spite of the backdrop of the world economy and oil prices, is continuing to improve. Just this week, an announcement of additional jobs in Henry County, the Martinsville area, where we are desperate for jobs with a 20% rate of unemployment. So, the tone is positive, although when we're here and going at it with different opinions, sometimes it's not positive in the halls here at the Capitol. But with springtime coming on, hopefully we can resolve our outstanding issues and then head home.
It's often described that in the Senate there's a collegiality between people of different parties, and I bring this up because the two of you happen to be from different parties, and that you, on most all issues, you work together across party lines, that they're not really partisan issues. They may be more Northern Virginia issues at times, or more Shenandoah Valley or others. Toddy, what about some other issue that you worked on this past session?
Well, I worked on a transportation issue that's very important to my area. I have Fort Belvoir in the northern part of my district and Quantico in the southern part of my district, and both bases are going to see huge increases of people coming because of the BRAC commissions closing. And Fort Belvoir is getting over 20,000 new people. Quantico's getting 6,000 new people, people, and that's going to very much impact Route 1, which goes all the way from, well, it goes from Maine to Florida, but in our area it goes right through Fort Belvoir and then goes right past Quantico. And we've been working, trying to get money to help us with this transportation gridlock that is coming. And, you know, we spent $7 million yet again to Virginia Beach, but we haven't gotten any money for Fort Belvoir or Quantico. So this year I did manage to get past a Route 1 transit study with the solid support of the administration, because we've done a highway improvement plan in that area, but we have not done it for transit, and we need to try to get transit there so that we don't need quite so many highway improvements. And it's going to all be very expensive, but fortunately the administration really stood up. I've carried this transit study, I think this was the 4th time, but this administration put the money behind it, so it is going forward, and people in both Prince William and Fairfax are very, very excited about this study going forward so that we can then begin to implement some of their recommendations.
Well, that sounds extremely important with all the BRAC closings. It's great for the Commonwealth that in those 2 instances it's significant numbers of people coming in to work in those settings.
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity for
Yes.
economic development in both areas.
Right.
It unfortunately came at the expense of Arlington County, where all these people were
Okay.
employed. So Arlington County lost thousands and thousands of jobs to our areas. So.
You know, David, you mentioned the cooperation between the parties sometimes, and I think Toddy and I get along reasonably well. We've had, and it made me think, back there was a period of time the Republicans were in control of the Senate, and I had the opportunity to chair the Rehabilitation and Social Services Committee, and now with the Democrats in control, Toddy chairs that committee,
Yes,
and I'm the
yes.
ranking Republican on that committee.
And
So
we sit next to each other.
yeah, we sit next to each other, so we got to get along for the most part.
Yeah,
but
you did when you were the chair and did it now when you're the chair. Yes.
At any rate, a couple of issues came to mind with a couple of bills I had this year that Toddy and I have worked on over the years. Prisoner reentry is something I know Toddy is working on diligently, and one of the bills that I carried this year would at least assist with vocational efforts for inmates, in that it would allow the state to use the inmates on the rest areas in maintenance projects, and which is a tremendous need there, and I'm hopeful that they can be used a lot in upgrading and maintaining the rest stops all around the state. Another area that's under the purview of that committee is alcohol, and of course I think we share similar attitudes about that as far as the ABC privatization and promotion of Virginia's wine industry. I carried a bill this year also to assist with the wine industry. We've had several over the years. So those are the type of things that we can work together on. And,
Sure.
And with redistricting, which we may want to talk about that a bit, I may end up representing some areas in Northern Virginia. I'm not sure. I hadn't thought that
Well,
would be possible.
I'm moving down to getting close to Fredericksburg.
Well, actually, I'm moving up to the plan that was passed. Actually, I didn't support it, but I like the people up there. If I have to do that, is up all the way up to Brandy Station, which, of course, I've been representing Augusta County and live in the western part, but I would go all the way up to Brandy Station around close to
Now,
Fredericksburg.
doesn't your son live up my way?
Yes, I have a number of children, and half of my family is living. In fact, 3 of my kids are in Northern Virginia right now. So I started to call Toddy this weekend to see how the cherry blossoms were coming, because I want to do a bike ride down to Mount Vernon. I might do that this coming weekend.
Yes, yes.
Springtime's coming, David.
It is coming. You can tell the allergy season is here. It's coming.
You know, it's interesting how in Richmond it's so much ahead of where we are up in Northern Virginia. But nothing could be more beautiful than our capital in the spring.
Yeah, yeah.
With the dogwoods out, it's just absolutely gorgeous here.
Toddy, any other issue that you'd like to mention that either that you've worked on, you've had some good successes, or there's some that you're working on toward the 2012 session?
Well, I'm always working on the Route 1 corridor.
Yes.
But I understand the privatization issue will probably come back again next year. So I'll have to be very aware of that coming, and because I'm really not for it, and I don't hear any of the public that's really for it. And at least the bill that we saw last year, or last session, was going to cost the state a lot of money. And that really sealed the deal, I think. But it will come back, and so we'll have to be vigilant about that. But I had 2 or 3 town meetings, and, 50 or 60 people came to each one, and no one there, maybe 1 or 2 people were for privatization. It was not, it's just not something that the people, they're generally satisfied with the ABC business that the state is in right now.
Was that an issue, Emmett, that the two of you were in agreement on?
Yes, we're
Yes.
in agreement on that. Which,
yeah.
I do not support ABC privatization. And somewhat related to that, an issue that popped up this year because of a court action that happened prior to the session, but we didn't become aware of it till during the session, was a court, through a consent decree, had invalidated our prohibition on certain advertising, alcoholic beverage advertising, which caused quite a stir.
Yeah,
and as it happened, I had a fairly simple bill pending in rehab, dealing with acts of God, where we would be able to adjust license fees if say a fire or something destroyed someone's business, and it would give the ABC board the authority to prorate those license fees, which they didn't currently have. At any rate, that bill served as a perfect vehicle to basically recodify or codify some of the laws and regulations pertaining to advertising alcoholic beverages, which went through at a critical time because there was a lot of concern. Some equated it to the Wild West. You'd see signs cropping up all over the place, and it would just be out of character for Virginia in terms of our approach to ABC product marketing.
Well, it was certainly an exciting session. It's wrapped up. We're having this conversation while you're wrapping up some matters in redistricting, and then that goes on to the governor, and then to the Justice Department, and it's a time of great excitement around the Capitol as you're seeing districts changing, and we really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with each of you. We look forward to having one in the future, to have our current chair, past chair of Rehab and Social Services back on with us. So thank you, Senator Puller. Thank you, Senator Hanger. We'll talk again in the near future.
Thank you.
Well, thank
Appreciate it.
you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.